Kim Emig was a budget analyst and team leader for WorldCom during the 1990s. Um, he originally was hired by MCI, and he witnessed some questionable business practices and especially loose controls over spending while he was with MCI. And when WorldCom acquired MCI, he still saw some questionable business practices. Uh, when he was promoted to team leader through WorldCom, he was faced with the dilemma whether or not to follow a directive given to him by his superior, which was to whether or not to correctly book for capital expenditures. And my name is Aaron Merrill, and I'm going to be discussing the 7 steps of how to blow the whistle and how well Kim Emig followed those 7 steps, as presented by Trevino and Nelson in the Ethics Book of Chapter 4. Step 1 of the 7 steps of how to blow the whistle is to approach your immediate manager first. Kim Emig did a pretty good job of attempting to speak with his direct manager first, but obviously his manager was not very cooperative with him. One of the issues why I don't think this would have been the most effective method anyway is because it was his direct manager that was involved with this ethical dilemma. It was his manager that was giving him the directive to incorrectly book for these capital expenditures. One thing he could have possibly done better is to ask for a meeting with his manager and his manager's boss, or he could have also included his manager in meetings with the assistant to the COO later on. Step 2 is to discuss the issue with your family. I think Kim did a pretty good job of keeping his wife and the family informed of the issues that were going on at work. Obviously, we're limited in some of the information that we received on that end, but I think he did a good job, and he explained the negative consequences. One thing that was unclear is whether or not he documented his activities throughout the process. Step 3 in the process is to take it to the next level. Kim did send word up the corporate ladder as he saw issues going on. He made several attempts through email to contact his superiors when he saw unethical things going on. He forwarded complaints from vendors and suppliers to his bosses. Step 4 is to contact your company's ethics officer. I don't recall reading anything about an ethics officer in this essay. That does not mean that there wasn't an ethics officer, but I don't believe that WorldCom at the time had an ethics officer, which makes this step irrelevant. Step 5 is consider going outside your chain of command. Kim spoke with the assistant to the COO, Sue Dean, after he was not successful speaking with his own manager. This seemed to be the most effective method to try to resolve this issue. After step 5, he went to step 6, going outside of the company, which he hired a lawyer. Other than that, he didn't do much as far as going outside of the company is concerned. And step 7 is not very relevant in this situation because Kim didn't have a chance to leave the company because he was fired. In conclusion, I think Kim followed the 7 steps fairly well. He could have possibly involved his manager more in discussions with the assistant to the COO, but the resources that we have available today were not available to him at the time, which would have made his situation that much more difficult. I think as accountants we need to be aware of the consequences. I think Kim may have been aware of some of the consequences at the time that he decided to blow the whistle, but maybe not all of them. One thing is for sure is that whistleblowing is not for the faint of heart.